They want to they want to get their support in Gaza, and they want to take over in Gaza. The reality is, okay, we're looking at a reality here where that cannot happen. The Palestinian Authority has been complicit, okay, absolutely complicit with terror attacks on Israeli civilians. It has been a part of a pay-for-slave program of Israelis. It has been a part of a pay-for-slave program of Israeli civilians, which is very, very, very dangerous. And in reality, the biggest issue with them is that they can't trust them. They have the same end goal, which is to take over Palestine or to take over Israel and turn it into Palestine. Now, last thing that's interesting that's happened today in the last 24 hours, from what we understood, the Trump administration, I don't know if it's coming from Trump directly or Steve Witkoff, I'm not sure who it's coming from. Okay, but it looks like what has happened. Trump has given an ultimatum to Egypt now. Take in 500,000 to 700,000 Palestinian refugees from Gaza, or lose all financial aid, complete financial aid. We already knew that al-Sisi was kind of potentially interested in taking in 500,000. I mean, he felt like his hand was forced. Now it seems like there's an ultimatum on the table. Take in 500 to 700,000 Palestinians, or lose all aid. Egypt can't survive without that aid. People don't understand. I was just watching a video about this the other day, and it really reaffirmed to me. Egypt is a flailing country. Egypt may seem like this strong, all-powerful country in the Middle East. Population of 100 million, overwhelming majority living in very, very bad conditions. Very poor population. I've been on the streets of Cairo. Not a great place to be. Immense violence, immense racism, immense extremism, parts of the Sinai fully taken over by ISIS. You still can't, when I was in Egypt, we literally couldn't drive on the northernmost road that takes you from Israel to Egypt to Cairo because it was overtaken by ISIS. So Egypt has some major, major issues. They want American support. They want to be friends with America, even though as much as they pretend like they're part of the Arab world, nobody even considers them real Arabs. Everybody in the Arab world, especially the real Arabs, makes fun of them for not being real Arabs. That's the reality of the situation that we're dealing with here, okay? And so Egypt is in a peculiar situation where they're not going to want to lose this aid, but if they do take in these 700,000 Palestinians, they've already kind of hated and shunned by the Arab world for a long time for making peace with Israel. They're kind of they're seen as the P word of the Arab world because they broke and made peace with Israel alongside Jordan. And the one thing I'll give to Jordan is that they kind of leaned into it instead of going away from it. Like I will say maybe not the population, because the Palestinian population obviously not, but I would say the Hashemites kind of leaned into the support of Israel a little bit. You saw them militarily supporting us this year. Egypt has gone away, as far away as you can go. They just made their population more anti-Semitic in the last 50 years we've had a peace deal. And so Egypt's in a really, really fucked place, I would say, right now. Not a good place for them to be, but ideally for us, that's great. I think the more Egypt has to deal with the consequences of their actions, like enabling October 7th, the better for everybody in this region. Egypt needs to deal with the consequences of what it's done. Egypt deserves a slap in the face and a slap on the wrist and say, no more, Habibi. You can't do this anymore. You cannot fund and help fund Gazans to come slaughter Israelis, including Arabs and Muslim Palestinians that you so love. You can't fund them and can help them do that a la October 7th. And then especially when they're getting attacked, okay, when there's a serious need to house them as refugees, you bribe them $10,000 a pop at the border and keep pretending like you don't want them to leave their land, yet you won't take any of them in. You won't take any Palestinians in unless they pay you $10,000 at the border. What the fuck, Egypt? What the fuck? Egypt needs to...
Arabs are under occupation, and that's going to sound crazy because you're not exposed to any perspective that sounds like that. So how could you ever come to that conclusion? You have groups of people who are offered a state who you're not listening to. They do not want the state that they are offered. They are offered a choice between a state and a chant. And if you know the chant, it's from the river to the sea. From the river to the sea is what they chose. You could have a state, or you could have a chant. And they want the chant. They are the tip of the spear in the global battle against Western hegemony, against an occupying European power in holy Arab land. And they're not going to give up on that as a collective political entity.
Correct.
For a relatively modest, prosperous state.
Leaders from Africa meeting I think will be a milestone. The meeting of 7 leaders from African countries with Israel. I think it underscores the fact that we are in a monumental change in the relations between Israel and Africa, beginning here. It is warranted by the great changes that are taking place in the world. We at once have an enormous boost and jump towards development, towards the possibilities of this new century with all the promises of technology. But at the same time, we have a savage medievalism that seeks to take all our societies back, to destroy them, destroy our freedoms and destroy our hopes. So we at once have to do 2 things: develop our countries into the future and fight back the forces that want to take us to a dark past. And we can do this. I believe Israel is the perfect partner for the countries of Africa.
ማለት አልችልም። ለምሳሌ አሁን አንድ ዶክመንት ሼር ባረግ ዮሴፍ በኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ የዋሃቢ እቅድ አለው። ወደዚህ ወደ ጅማ መንገድ ሰኮሩ የሚባል አካባቢ በዛ ወደ ውስጥ ነው አንድ ጥናት ሰራለሁ።
ክርስቲያን በማድረግ አስገድደው ያጠምቁ ነበር ይባላል። አስገድደው ያጠምቁ ነበር ደግሞ እንደተባለው በ6ኛ ወራቸው አርፈዋል። አፄ ዮሐንስ በነገሱበት ዘመን አንድ ሀገር አንድ ሃይማኖት በሚል መርህ ሙስሊሞችን ክርስቲያን በማድረግ አስገድደው ያጠምቁ ነበር ይባላል። ሰው እንዴት ያለ ፍላጎቱ በእምነቱ ይገደዳል የሚል ሐሳብ የገባቸው ሼህ ሁሴን ጅብሪል አፄው ይህን በማድረጋቸው ንግስናቸው ችግር እንደሚገጥመውና ስራቸውም ትክክል እንደማይሆን እንዲሁም በውጊያ ላይ እንደሚሞቱ ቀድሞ ታይቷቸው ኖሮ እንዲህ ብለዋል። ያላየህም እየው፣ ያልሰማህም ስማ፣ ቆቡ ተቀደደ የመምሬ ግርማ። ደረሱብን እንጂ መች ደረስንባቸው፣ ቁረቡ ይሉናል የነብስ አባታቸው። በመተማ በኩል የምትጤሰው ጢስ፣ የምትከነክናት የምታስነጥስ፣ እምብዛም አትበጀው ላጤ ዮሐንስ። የዮሐንስ በቅሎ ብረኪ ብረኪ፣ አላህ ካመጣብሽ የድርቡሽ ማራኪ፣ መተማ ላይ ወርደሽ እንዳትማረኪ። የአፄ ዮሐንስ ኑዛዜና ቀጣይ ንግስና የንጉሱ ወንድም የነበሩት የደጃች ጉግሳ ልጅ ራስ መንገሻ ቢሆንም ይህ እንደማይሆን ቀድሞ የታያቸው ሼሁ ግን ቀጥለው ሚኒሊክ እንደሚነግሱ እንዲህ በማለት ተናግረው ነበር። የዮሐንስ በቅሎ ጠፍታ በሌሊት ቀን ወደ ሚኒሊክ ስትሄድ አየናት። ጣይ መግቢያ ጣይ መውጫ የገዛው ንጉሥ ሳይቀበር ቀረ አፄ ዮሐንስ። ምድር ተዘርግታ እስክትከተት ከእንግዲህ ለትግሬ የለው ወንድነትም። የወሎ ራስ አሊ በኋላ ተቀይረው